Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and it's another Warlock Wednesday. I
Favorite day of the
remembered
week.
that time. Yes. Today we are going to be talking about the Eldritch Invocation, Chains of Carceri.
This is sweet. I love this feat or
Yeah,
invocation so very much.
it's nuts.
It's
I was looking at it and I read the text and I thought, wow, that's all right. 15th level is a bit much to ask, but for what you get, I mean, even if it was just hold monster. I was like, but it's once per long rest. And then I looked closer and said, no, it
nope.
is not.
It's better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chains of Carceri is actually pretty short. It does have the correct 15th level. It does require you to be packed to the chain, so this is only for our familiar warlocks out there, the ones that got their imps and closets and whatnot. But that's a really busted option, so a lot of people are going to have it. Anyway, it says you can cast Hold Monster at will, targeting a celestial fiend or elemental, without expending a spell slot or material components. You must finish a long rest before you can use this invocation again on the same creature, which means you can conceivably hold a monster in an indefinite quantity of fiends and celestials, fiends, or elementals every long rest, which is very neat.
Yeah, not the same type of monster, just like the same, like not fire elementals, but Doug the fire elemental.
Yes.
That's your limitation.
Precisely. And for the readers at home, or the viewers at home that are, wondering, well, how good is Hold Monster? We rate Hold Monster very highly in this establishment. It's been top of our list for 5th level spells. It's a really powerful option that paralyzes a thing. And you get to do it for free. Now, it does eat your concentration. It's got a concentration of a minute, and it makes a whiz save or is paralyzed. Notably, with Chains of Carceri, you can't, like, if it passes the save the first time on Hold Monster, you can't force it again. That one's immune to it. You can move it around to other ones and stuff, though. So, against Celestial Fiends and Elementals specifically, it's pretty usable. And anytime you're getting a free cast of Hold Monster, you're really happy with it. Thematically, I adore this. I love, like, the narrative of you've mastered, like, chaining creatures to your whim like you're familiar, that you can do it on even the most powerful large entities. I'm a little bit bummed out that it limits it to non-Fey. I'm annoyed that it's just Celestials, Elementals, and Fiends. I think that most extra player enemies should be affected by this, but still, in the upper tiers
would be nice too.
Yeah, agreed. I think that it hits enough things that you're going to find most tables get a good amount of use at it. If you're doing, like, Out of the Abyss, if you're doing Descent into Avernus, it's really good because you're fighting against a lot of fiends. If you're going to, like, fight God for some reason up on Mount Celestia, whoever, I truthfully don't know the names of, like, the good aligned gods, so normally it's like Asmodeus and, the demon lords, and then it's just Jesus. And that's how I kind of refer to these two realms. In any case, if you're going to, like, up onto Mount Celestia, you could kill some people for some reason, this is really good there. Elementals tend to be the more common factor among most games, is like they're the summoned extraplanar element or entity that you're going to be fighting a lot more often. They're ones that tend to pop up all over the place in different environments, so that's probably going to be your most common hit with it at the average table. Still, if you aren't in one of those 3 environments, I think this is an option you consider, but it is definitely dependent on you finding a good quantity of those enemies to hit. If you're getting this once per day, you're pretty happy with it. If you're getting it less than that, I'm a little iffy on it. It's still very flavorfully rich, though, and I'm a big fan.
I feel like by the time you reach 15th level, you're going to be facing more of these types of creatures.
Typically, less humanoids, especially.
Yeah. All right. So, I guess all that's left to do is talk about Hold Monster itself.
Yeah, Hold Monster is really good. So, yeah. Hold Monster paralyzes a thing. Whenever you paralyze a thing, you know what happens to it?
It dies because all your friends beat the snot out of it.
Yeah, because everyone auto crits. That is, like, the bulk of what this does. Hold Monster at will. You're a warlock, so it isn't necessarily also all that convenient to need it to eat your concentration. That is kind of a bummer because warlocks like long duration concentration effects for their pack magic slots because of how pack magic works. Honestly, there's a lot of things going against Chains of Carceri in the warlock class that makes it a little bit clunky. Namely, again, that concentration thing. You can't use your own.
I'm not sure the concentration thing is that big a deal because, like you said, I hold the monster, I'm successful. You pretty much just need a round.
Yeah.
Before, if your friends all focus their fire on it, it's probably going to die.
So here's the larger issue. If you have a long duration summon effect like a summon Shadow Spawn or summon Undead up, you can't do this in between those, in between fights, right? If you have an hour-long summon that's got 50 HP that's tagging from the back line, if you've got a companion running around or a long duration hex up, or again, a lot of the other base level Warlock long duration concentration effects, this becomes not an option while they're up. That's kind of annoying because you don't want to lose the spell cast to get your chains up. If you're in a situation where you're engaging a fight with chains, it's a lot better because, like you just said, you don't care about breaking concentration on this because it's only lasting 2 rounds at most, where you just go bind the elemental, everyone kill it, or ignore it, kill everything else, and then we'll turn it and deal with it later when it's non-paralyzed. Which also notably makes this feel a lot better than Hold Monster typically does, because you get it for free. You getting a free, I paralyze that thing. We don't necessarily even have to kill it right now. We can leave it there and let this just be a status effect. We don't necessarily need to maximize its effectiveness because it's not costing that much of a resource. We can go in and do something else. That's a pretty meaningful upside for it. Having that ability on hand is great at the beginning of a fight, whenever you don't have anything else prepared, whenever you're like, let's say or like your summon dies and you're about to go into the next fight, you go, okay, well, we know we're in this environment, we know we're in like this, the Efreet Sultan's palace on the plane of fire, going to fight his guards or whatever. You go, okay, great, I'm not going to resummon my thing because I'm going to use Chains of Carceri in the next 3 things that we're going into, and then we'll engage the fight that way and have a pretty good time with it. And that's going to be pretty powerful. It's still, once again, going to be really dependent on the situation and circumstances, and it already being limited to only being good in circumstances where these monsters pop up. If you're ever surprised by the monsters, it'll be like, crap, I have this thing that would be really great here, but I don't want to lose my concentration effect that I got right up right now. That's really annoying. That's kind of a little hiccup I think is going to often play into this. If you're not someone that likes to like consistently maintain, this is what I'm always concentrating on, this is where my concentration slots going, this is where my actions are going, these are my bonus action options, this is, the couple little reactive things I get out of GL free. If you don't have like all this planned out, it's probably going to feel a little bit better because you're not going to necessarily be considering, here's my long duration concentration effect that I've always got up. It'll be something that's more of, this is an opportunity where I don't have anything up right now, I'll hold monster that and it's going to be fine.
On the flip side, just because you have a long duration concentration spell up doesn't mean you're going to keep it. I mean, the whole point of it is, sometimes you get hit and you lose your concentration. Now you have something to make that not feel so bad.
That's definitely true. Yeah, that is actually a really good point, is if you are ever in a situation where you're like, oh crap, it's a lot of fiends, and you take a fireball to the face and your summon Shadow Spawn goes away, you go, screw you, hold monster. That's going to be pretty cute, pretty cool. That's definitely a huge boon. Good point.
All right, well, are we done?
It's
the Hold Monster. I mean, we've talked about Hold Monster a couple of times now, and this is what you get. It's
yes.
At will.
It's a 5th level Hold Monster at will on 3 creature types, which is cool. Again, I really wish to hit like 4 or 5 creature types. That would make it a lot more applicable. As is, though, I think if you're at the tier and you feel like you've got a spare invocation to go around use on, this is probably a perfectly fine option to pick up, regardless of table. If you know you're going in to fight this table, this is even if your invocation slots are really competitive, this is something that can still absolutely be worth it. If you know you're going to fight against a lot of enemies of this type, in those windows, I think this invocation's excellent. That is kind of it, though. I don't think you pick this over most other invocations that you're building around. Even in the upper tiers, you will often find there be higher flexibility or higher utility options than this, despite how cool it is.
With all that in mind, what do you rate it?
I think it's a 3. I love it, but it isn't. It hits just enough creature types that you're gonna have moments where you're like, "Wow, that was sweet." We did talk a lot about its concentration issues. We did talk a lot about it in the context of the Warlock class, in the context of like the other invocations that exist that are more like, this doesn't really speak to any one build in particular. This is just a generally useful effect. So your other invocations that are going to build towards, they're going to matter. Granted, this is a 15th level, so you probably already have most of those. It lands in this mediocre, like, yeah, this is a fine tool if you get it. If you're in the right situation, it's baller. If you're not in the right situation, it's pretty unusable. And I mean, you're gonna have to figure that out on your own with your DM. So
more of the limitations, I can't give it a 5, but
its limitations are really, they are very present.
But I think you're gonna be able to find enough use out of it, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes,
when you do that. I think it's worth a 4.
That's fair. Hold Monster at Will is really good.
Yeah.
If you ever hit like 5 or more things long rest with this, it's bananas. That's so good. It's free 5 free 5 5th level spell slots. Absolutely sign me up.
Yeah, that is what tempts me.
I just don't see that happen. why it's lower on my. That's why it's a 3 for me. Because it's like 2-ish free spell slots, if that.
All right, well, that was Chains of Carceri. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.